So the first dialogue we'll read is from the chapter or section called Words, considering that the whole book is called Words, Flower. And the first reader will be Gail, who, as I say, is in each case reading Sayako's poems.
That one word of encouragement from a passerby, still staying in my heart.
Black pine branches brushing the white sky. Sumie, my lips form the word as dawn crows wing past.
Our connections between heart and tongue severed, from my mouth come meaningless words.
Sounds of the sea shifting from sigh to roar. Your words to me so inappropriate. How should I process them?
I want the strength of those Kobe ginkgos which wordlessly withstood the ravages of both war and earthquake.
Perhaps you saw there larks rising from the rice fields, he says, and I am speechless with longing.
A mere phone call from me to my troubled sister-in-law provoking a flood of emotions. I tried to stem the flow.
Overseas call, extended by longing as always. Leaving too much unsaid, we say our goodbyes.
Though this could be the last occasion we meet, I take no time over pleasantries, rush out to my taxi.
A black taxi takes me away from there. For the last time, I promise myself, this is the last time.
Placing myself on the airport conveyor belt, going this way and that, I am boarded without a word.
10 short years since I sat at the airport waiting. You arrived late and said nothing I wanted to hear.
Shadowing me, the tiny mother bird gnashes its beak as if to deliver some threatening words.
See you soon. Those commonplace words sometimes fill my heart with hope, sometimes with despair. So that's the section on words, and now we'll read the dialogue on trees, which is even more desultory, skips here and there and everywhere.
This frosty morning among the tall grasses white with ice, crimson plum blossoms light up my heart.
At each corner of the concrete library, in midwinter, warm pink blossoms froth on ornamental fruit trees.
By burying multiple slender roots beneath the earth, the great eucalypt has withstood this drought.
From the gum tree, a flock of cockatoos swoops down to peck in drought grass, flight halted by hunger.
Cockatoos boldly clamouring and squabbling regardless of the chaos reigning in our world.
A certain weeping cherry tree nearby and I are always early, though the seasons slowly revolve.
In the garden of a deserted mountain villa stands a cherry tree robing in blossom, the apex of Mount Fuji.
Chinese art in a Seattle park. Mandarin ducks coupled on lush grass under falling blossoms.
I won't speak of my age again. I'll be as silent as the boughs of an old pine casting shadows on a stream.
A pelican and its reflection sailing the lake, while magpies carol from branch to branch of the eucalypts.
When my summer trip comes to an end, the fluffy flowers of the silk tree fill my idle eyes.
Fairy floss, palest pink, wound around leafless branches, fluffed by the wind. Another year true to you.
People rested there on top of the slope in its white shade. I searched the ashes for that plain tree.
Under the shade of a summer green oak we sit, my granddaughter and I spooning strawberry ice cream.
How deeply coloured the trunk of that red pine, which watched over the history of the family on its old rural estate.
Homesick, she planted English trees round the homestead, where her pretty flowers withered in drought years.
Transplanted from my old home, the fragrance of Daphne is revived with a single bunch.
Wisteria, humming with drunken bees, in perfumed sunshine, I'm remembering how I loved this place.
The wattle by the roadside is turning gold. Spring is near, and a friend comes from afar.
So Brindabella Valley onwards. The creek curls like a lazy snake, to green forests pinching the distance, to wombats grazing like dense sheep. Wandering, we're wandering into repetition. Wombats graze like sheep, our city ropes dragging, red, brown loam caked, caught in fibres. The brook begins to sweep. Now the trance of a broken windmill beside a gently flaming tree. Sweeping river, slapping, cackling, the city arresting memory softly. No solitude, no longer. Friends of the porous, we won't speak any longer. Share silence, solitude, slipping like poetry, the silence of arms around shoulders, paddocks heave up to sigh, smooth rough, cool gust from the valley's guts. All things are drawn together with memory. In the past, by the cottages, we were still freshly growing, the mercurial endurance of a song sung quietly. But now the darkening resistance, the nocturnal procedures, never, though we often wish, the wombat shifting from hole to hole, always home. Singing memories of a childhood, never yours, mine, the path winds up to disappear within the rough knuckles of peppermint gum bark. From here on, from where does the old spine submerge into valley, into fat canals of green, grassy flesh? No matter how deep the trance, how far we wander, there's only again, onwards to again. By the slipping rocks we turn back to where the winds are saying, the winds saying, howling, the winds louding, oh mine, just so you are aware. And again, this is a 4-part poem, and I'll just indicate each part with a pause. North Durras Caravan Park. Coastal. Yesterday the clearest beach, today north of Durras, South Durras sailing away. Flooding with wet gum forest, misty mountain hop, sucking up glass channels like canticles, like livid creeks, manic veins wriggling on the inlet. Where is Durras? If not north, south, is it sailing out with the salty fresh water of a conscience? It was further back down there, 2 figures threading. They came together, threading the sand and the sky, their intimate geographies a single map. In the distance, the retired wives' club chatters in technicolor wings, singing orchestras by the tennis court. Flash your bouncing body on a pasture, lay out shells like wet black words on a white page. I'm thinking in terms of tennis, smacking one ball back, but always the ball that's coming towards you, reaching past. In terms of threads between in and out, empiricism and heart. If you're on a balcony above Durras in the teen of the gribble of the wheezing whine of the young magpie, your mum hopping about stabbing scraps, your music screaming, content is a slippery glimpse. If you had the world at hand, the body fresh, your entrance to the ocean wrapped around you, southern capillaries pumping through wind flesh, and questions of papery bark peeling as she opens her wings like pages to be written in North Durras. The longer route crumbles like a sandy bank.
Dearest daughters, Jane and Sarah, you'll read this only when I'm dead. I'll leave it with my cheerful lawyer, who, with her very well-trained head, has seen how things might be arranged when I am truly done and dusted, about what goes to whom and who might at the end be truly trusted. She's got the clauses all drawn up in fairness to you both, I'm sure. She had me there in knots for hours, who got less and who got more, on what might just survive a challenge and what would best defy a judge who thought my will too mean by half and just the product of a grudge. You will have seen the will by now. Resolve your curiosity and seen how Providence ensures a certain reciprocity. I won't go into niceties. The story's there in black and white. Check thoroughly at no small cost to see that legally it's tight. Of course, the two of you, I know, have several times declared you're sorry for how you carried on while I was sleeping, as you say, with Laurie. 11 years ago this autumn, and then through Europe in the spring, that sweet cadenza to his life, a duet only love can sing. And yes, okay, you've eased off when I neared the age that he was then, 81 and less than mobile, an age at which you wonder when and how precisely fate will strike. Cancer, broken hip, the heart. In dodging one, you find another. That's the most frustrating part. Of course, in my case, it's the hips that finally have let me down and dropped me off here, minus car, though not yet in my dressing gown. Enough of that. The jury's out. We don't know what the verdict brings. The subtle powers of entropy are generous with their offerings. Are you sitting down and ready? What purpose can this serve, you think? Of course you are annoyed, and if it's after 3, you'll need a drink. But why, I hear you start to ask, do you insist on using rhyme? Isn't that a sad old-fashioned relic of another time? An age we barely touched in school. Some guys, I think, called Pope and Swift. The age before the age when moderns cut such chiming well adrift. Don't forget you're getting old and in an aged facility. Wouldn't prose be better suited to your new docility? Docile, maybe, darling Sarah, and no less so, my sweetest Jane, but I've discovered that small rhymes can do big wonders for the brain. Skip ahead to another bit. So she's in the old people's home. But let's not drift. My colleagues here are slowly yielding up their names, though some have since forgotten them and quarrel over Zimmer frames. Jane, you've been here quite enough since I've arrived to smell and see the atmosphere the place gives off, the potted plant of ennui. Those still fit have lost their minds, and those with minds no longer walk. The conversation over dinner's not much more than knife and fork. We do have foreign students in, trying out their thanks and please, and some old stagers still get spooked to find sometimes they're Japanese. It takes them straight back to the war, the rising sun, the bayonets, the Banzai charge, the Changi camp. Forgiveness, maybe, just not yet. The staff, though, aim to keep things cheery. We're almost the United Nations. Surely this and surely that. You'd think that we were close relations. Still, they have their jobs to do, and most of it cannot be easy. Dealing with incontinence is bound to make one slightly queasy. We do have gossip now and then, but not much for a girl to relish. The men don't last for long enough. There's nothing really to embellish. You may well think that, given Laurie, I'd still be casting eyes about, and as if I had a yen for trouble, but sadly, I am down and out. A few strange things may still occur, but they are mainly misadventures happening to daft old men who wonder where they left their dentures. Some do not make it out the door and vanish vaguely up the road when they happen to remember the digits of the exit code. The facts of where I've put myself, adhering to my own decisions, are bleak enough, I will concede. Life allows us few revisions. My hip replacements, as you know, do no great credit to my surgeon. He's made me need the wheelchair more. I am a reinvented virgin, and certain to remain so, girls. There's no one here delights my eye. Not right now and not next week. It seems they've all arrived to die. Each day comes and each day goes, the next exactly like the last, with all the shipwrecked, sprawled in chairs, thinking only of the past. A small Titanic, if you will, with one great iceberg up ahead, our buoyancy half gone already, the lookout in a deck chair, dead.